I stood in the bridal boutique, staring at my reflection in the three-way mirror, and for the first time in 20 years, I felt like a bride again. The champagne-colored silk dress draped perfectly over my 62-year-old frame. My daughter Catherine sat in the corner, scrolling through her phone, barely looking up. "What do you think, sweetheart?" I asked, smoothing the fabric over my hips. "It's fine, Mom," she said without glancing up, "though I still don't understand why you're rushing into this." The saleswoman, a kind woman named Sophia, handed me a small cream envelope. "This was left at the front desk for you, Mrs. Morrison. The gentleman said it was urgent." My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. Inside, on expensive cardstock, someone had written in neat block letters, "Don't sign the prenup tomorrow. Check your daughter's emails to Richard. Password, your wedding date with James." The room tilted. James, my late husband, dead 3 years now from a sudden heart attack. "Mom, you okay? You look pale." Catherine was suddenly beside me, her hand on my elbow. I crumpled the note in my fist. "Just tired. I think I need some air. Who would send this? And how did they know James's and my wedding date, 6 months earlier?" I had met Richard Thornton at a charity gala for the Children's Hospital where I volunteered. He was 58, distinguished, with silver hair and a warm laugh that reminded me of James. We talked for hours about architecture, his profession, and about loss. His wife had passed 2 years before mine. "It's the little moments you miss most, isn't it?" he said, swirling his wine. The Sunday morning crosswords, the way she'd steal the blankets. I fell hard and fast, the way you're not supposed to, at my age. Within 3 months, he proposed over dinner at the same restaurant where James had proposed 40 years ago. I said yes, dizzy with the unexpected joy of a second chance. Catherine's reaction was ice cold. "Mom, you barely know him. What about Dad's legacy? What about protecting the estate?" "Your father wanted me to be happy," I told her. "And Richard makes me happy. He's already successful, he doesn't need our money." But she insisted on a prenup. So did Richard's lawyer. So I agreed. To keep peace. Present day. Back in my car, I sat gripping the steering wheel. The note felt like it was burning in my purse. "Don't sign the prenup. Check Catherine's emails." My daughter would never betray me. Would she? But the note writer knew our anniversary date. Only family knew that. Only Catherine, my late sister Margaret's daughter Olivia, and my closest friends. I drove home to my estate in Brookhaven, the sprawling Tudor-style home James and I had built together. Richard was out showing properties. Catherine was at her condo downtown. I had the house to myself. In my study, I opened my laptop. Catherine and I had shared a family computer for years when she was growing up. I had helped her set up her first email account. And like many mothers and daughters, we occasionally still shared passwords for Netflix, Amazon, family photo albums. I typed in her email address. For the password, I entered June 141984, mine and James's wedding date. It worked. Sorry. My stomach clenched as I scrolled through her inbox. Nothing unusual. Bills, shopping confirmations, work emails from her job at the museum. Then I saw it. A folder labeled Insurance Papers. Odd. Catherine had never handled insurance. Inside were emails to Richard. My Richard. Starting 8 months ago, before I'd even met him. The first email, dated February 10th. She took the bait at the gala. Told you she had a weakness for architects. Stay close to the plan. Once she signs the prenup with the inheritance clause, we just need to wait 6 months after the wedding. The policy pays out double after the waiting period. See, my vision blurred. I kept reading. Richard's response. Catherine, I'm getting cold feet about this. Your mother is actually a kind woman. Maybe we should... Catherine's reply. Don't you dare back out now. She killed my father with her nagging, her constant charity work that pulled him away from family time. He had that heart attack because of the stress she caused. This is justice. And we split everything 50/50. $7 million, Richard. Each. I couldn't breathe. My daughter. My baby girl thought I killed James? The emails continued. Details about a life insurance policy Richard had convinced me to take out 3 months ago, just to protect each other, darling, he'd said. I'd signed it without reading carefully, trusting him. The policy was for $14 million, double indemnity if I died within the first year. Another email dated 2 weeks ago. C. The hiking trip to Colorado next month is perfect. Remote trail, tragic accident. You're in California for a museum conference as your alibi. I've done this trail before. There's a spot where the cliff edge is unstable. One push, and it's a 300 foot drop. They'll call it a hiking accident. Middle-aged widow, heart probably gave out from the climb, similar to her husband. Nobody will question it. R. My daughter wrote back. Perfect. Mom never hikes. Everyone will think she was trying to capture youth or some nonsense. Tragic but believable. See you at the wedding rehearsal dinner. Keep her convinced you love her. She's so desperate to not be alone, she'll believe anything. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. 20 minutes later, I sat on the cool tile floor, my mind racing. Tomorrow was the prenup signing. The wedding was in 3 weeks. The Colorado trip was scheduled for 2 weeks after that. They were going to kill me. My own daughter. And the man I thought loved me. I heard the front door open. Eleanor? Darling, are you home? Richard's voice, warm and loving, the same voice that had whispered sweet things to me for months. In the study, I called, quickly closing the laptop. I wiped my face, steadied my breathing. He appeared in the doorway, handsome in his tailored suit, carrying a bouquet of peonies, my favorite. For my beautiful bride-to-be. How was the dress fitting? I stood, accepted the flowers, let him kiss my cheek. His cologne, usually comforting, now made me nauseated. It was perfect, I said, smiling. Everything is perfect. Good. I confirmed with the lawyer for tomorrow at 2. We'll sign the prenup, get it out of the way. His hand rubbed my back. I know Catherine pushed for this, but it's smart, protecting both our estates. Of course, I said. You're right, it's smart. That night, I couldn't sleep. Richard snored softly beside me in the bed we'd shared for the past 4 months since he'd moved in. I stared at the ceiling, thinking, who sent the note? Who knew? Then it hit me. The password clue, your wedding date with James. Only a few people knew that exact date. Catherine knew, Olivia knew, and one other person, Marcus Chen, James's best friend and our family lawyer who'd handled James's will. Marcus had been cool to Richard from the start. Eleanor, I'm not trying to be negative, he'd said over lunch 2 months ago, but James would want me to look out for you. This is moving very fast. Marcus, I'm not a child. I can make my own decisions. I know. Be careful. That's all I'm asking. The next morning, while Richard was in the shower, I called Marcus from my car in the driveway. Eleanor, is everything all right? Marcus, did you send me a note yesterday at the bridal boutique? Silence. Then, yes. Why? Because I hired a private investigator 3 months ago. After you told me about the life insurance policy, something felt wrong. Eleanor, Richard Thornton isn't who he says he is. My hands shook on the steering wheel. Tell me everything. His real name is Richard Thompson. He's done this before. Twice. 2 wealthy widows in Atlanta and Charlotte. Both died in accidents within a year of marriage. Both had taken out large life insurance policies. He was never charged, too smart, too careful. But the investigator found the pattern. Catherine, I whispered. She's involved. I found emails. Your daughter? Marcus sounded shocked. Eleanor, I need your help. Can you come to the house this afternoon? 2 o'clock. The prenup signing. Of course. What are you planning? Justice, Marcus. I'm planning justice. I called Catherine next. Sweetheart, I know you don't approve of Richard, but it would mean the world to me if you'd come to the prenup signing this afternoon. As my witness, please? She hesitated. Mom, I have work. Please, Catherine, you're my only daughter. I need you there. She sighed dramatically. Fine. 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock. Next, I called an old friend, Detective Patricia Rodriguez. We'd worked together on the Children's Hospital Board for years. I told her everything. Eleanor, these are serious accusations, she said carefully. But if you have evidence, I have emails. I have a private investigator's report. I have a plan. I just need you to be there at 3 o'clock. At my house. Can you do that, quietly? I'll be there. With backup. The prenup signing was scheduled for 2. At 1:30, I set up my laptop in the dining room, Catherine's email account still open, the damning messages ready on screen. Richard arrived first, all smiles and charm. Ready to make this official, darling? Marcus came at 1:45, briefcase in hand, his expression neutral and professional. Catherine arrived at 1:55, dressed in a severe black suit, her expression barely concealing her impatience. "Let's get this over with," she said, not even kissing my cheek. We sat around the dining table, the same table where we'd celebrated Catherine's graduations, her birthdays, where James had carved countless Thanksgiving turkeys. "Before we sign," I said quietly, "I have something to show everyone." I turned the laptop screen toward them. Richard's face drained of color. Catherine stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "Mom, where did you had no right to go through my private." "Sit down, Catherine." The force in my voice surprised even me. She sat. I read the emails aloud. Every single one. My voice shook at first, then grew stronger. "She killed my father with her nagging," I read. "Is that really what you think, Catherine? That I killed your father? That my charity work trying to help sick children caused his heart attack?" Tears streamed down her face, but her expression was hard. "You were never there, always at the hospital, always volunteering. Dad needed you, and you were never there. Your father was proud of my work. He volunteered with me." My voice broke. "And you planned to murder me for money? Your own mother?" "We weren't going to," Richard started. "Don't." Marcus's voice was steel. "Don't insult Mrs. Morrison's intelligence." Richard stood. "I'm leaving. This is insane. Eleanor, you're paranoid. These emails are taken out of context." I stood to face him. "The private investigator found 2 other wives, Richard, or should I call you Thompson? Atlanta and Charlotte, both dead within a year of marriage, both accidents." His charming mask finally cracked. The warm eyes turned cold. "You can't prove anything." "Actually," Detective Rodriguez said from the doorway, "we can." 2 uniformed officers stood behind her. "Richard Thompson, Catherine Morrison, you're both under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder." Catherine lunged toward me. "Mom, please." "I didn't mean it was his idea. I was angry about Dad, but I would never." "You wrote the words." "Catherine, you planned it. You called me desperate." I stepped back from her reaching hands. "All I ever did was love you, and your father. Neither of us deserved this." They took them both away in handcuffs. Catherine screamed and cried. Richard stayed silent, his expression calculating even as they read him his rights. Marcus put his hand on my shoulder. "Eleanor, I'm so sorry." I sat heavily in James's favorite chair. "How long have you known?" "I suspected after you mentioned the insurance policy. I confirmed it 2 weeks ago when the investigator finished his report. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I needed proof. I couldn't just accuse your daughter without evidence." "You sent the note." "I did. I hoped you'd investigate on your own. You're the strongest woman I know. I knew you'd find the truth." Patricia stayed for another hour, taking my statement. "The emails are damning," she said. "Combined with Thompson's history and the insurance policy, the DA will have a strong case. What happens now? There'll be arraigned tomorrow, trial in a few months. Eleanor." She paused. "I'm sorry this happened to you." After they left, I sat alone in the house that suddenly felt too big. I walked through rooms full of memories, Catherine's graduation photo on the mantel, James's favorite reading chair by the window, the kitchen where we'd made countless Sunday breakfasts. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia, my niece. "Aunt Elle, I just heard. I'm so sorry. I'm coming over." She arrived an hour later with wine and takeout. We sat in the kitchen, and I told her everything. "I can't believe, Catherine," Olivia said, shaking her head. "She always resented you a little, especially after you threw yourself into charity work after Uncle James died. But this, she blamed me for his death. His heart attack wasn't your fault. The doctor said it was genetic, his cholesterol, stress from work. I know. But Catherine needed someone to blame, and I was there. What will you do now?" I looked around my home, the life James and I built, that I'd almost lost because I was lonely. because I wanted companionship in my 60s. I'll testify at their trial. I'll make sure they're held accountable. And then, I paused, thinking, then I'll live. Really live. James wouldn't want me hiding away. But he also wouldn't want me being foolish. You weren't foolish, Aunt Elle. You were human. You wanted love. I had love. I have love. I squeezed her hand. I have you. I have Marcus. I have my work at the hospital. I have friends who actually care about me. The trial came 4 months later. I sat in the courtroom every day, watching my daughter and her co-conspirator face justice. The evidence was overwhelming: the emails, the private investigator's report on Richard's past, testimony from insurance agents about the suspicious policy, Richard's internet search history showing hiking accidents Colorado and how long until life insurance pays out. Catherine took a plea deal, 15 years for conspiracy to commit murder, eligible for parole in 10. Richard went to trial and got 25 years. His lawyer tried to paint me as a vindictive ex-fiancé, but the jury saw through it. When the verdict was read, I felt no joy, only a deep, aching sadness. I'd lost my daughter, not to death, but to greed and misplaced anger, but I'd saved my own life. At 62, I'd been smart enough, strong enough to fight back. A year later, I stood in the children's hospital, cutting the ribbon on the new cardiac wing, the James Morrison Memorial Wing, funded by the money I didn't spend on a wedding, instead donated in my late husband's name. Marcus stood beside me, steady and supportive as always. Olivia was there with her husband and 2 kids, my real family. Your father would be proud, I told the photo of James I'd brought, displayed on an easel near the entrance. And I realized something. I didn't need a man to complete me. I didn't need marriage to feel whole. At 62, after everything I'd survived, I was enough, just me. Eleanor Morrison, widow, mother, philanthropist, survivor. The note that saved my life sat framed in my study now, a reminder: trust your instincts, question everything, and never, ever sign something without reading the fine print. I visit Catherine once a month at the Women's Correctional Facility. She's in therapy, working through her anger about James's death, her resentment toward me. Her therapist says there's hope for reconciliation. Eventually, maybe, maybe not. But I've learned that family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up, who protect you, who send you anonymous notes in bridal boutiques because they care enough to risk your anger to save your life. It's Marcus, who investigated when his gut told him something was wrong. It's Olivia, who arrived with wine and love when my world fell apart. It's Patricia, who took my accusations seriously when she could have dismissed them. And it's me, learning, finally, at 62, that I'm strong enough to stand alone, that I'm worth protecting, that my life has value beyond what I can give to others. The cancer support group I now run meets every Tuesday. 15 women, all over 60, all navigating life after loss. We talk about loneliness, about vulnerability, about the pressure to find someone before it's too late. It's never too late, I tell them, to save yourself, to choose yourself, to know your worth. Last month, one of the women, Linda, 71, widowed 3 years, told us her new boyfriend was pressuring her to add him to her bank accounts. Something feels off, she said. Then listen to that feeling, I told her. Always listen. She ended the relationship the next day. Found out later he had a gambling problem and owed money to dangerous people. She thanked me with tears in her eyes. You probably saved my life. No, I said. You saved your own life. You just needed permission to trust yourself. That's my mission now. Teaching women, teaching everyone that the bravest thing you can do is trust your own instincts. Question the things that feel wrong. Demand answers. Protect yourself. Because sometimes the greatest love story isn't about finding someone else. Sometimes it's about saving yourself. And on quiet evenings, when I sit in James's favorite chair with a book and a cup of tea, I feel him with me, not haunting, just present, proud. You did good, Elle, I imagine him saying. You survived. I did more than survive. I chose life, on my terms. And at 62, with decades hopefully still ahead of me, that feels like the greatest victory of all.